Vanessa Malone's story is one that reflects the intersection of youth, vulnerability, violence, and the long pursuit of justice that can stretch across years while families wait for closure. Vanessa, who was just 18 years old in 2012, was described as a bright and ambitious young woman with dreams and potential ahead of her. But her life was abruptly taken when she became the victim of a tragic shooting inside the Hampton Village apartments in Stone Mountain, Georgia. The circumstances surrounding her death were particularly haunting because they combined elements of randomness, betrayal, and the unsettling reality of violent crime that often affects young people who find themselves in dangerous situations they never anticipated. According to reports, Vanessa had gone to visit some new friends on that fateful evening, something that might have seemed innocent and ordinary at the time. Yet when she arrived, she walked into a nightmare already in progress. Armed intruders had broken into the apartment where her friends were staying, and they had forced those present into submission by tying them up and locking them in a bathroom. What transpired next was even more chilling, as Vanessa unknowingly entered the apartment during the course of this robbery. For reasons that investigators have sought to understand ever since, she was shot multiple times. Later, her body was discovered in a closet, a detail that underscored both the violence of the act and the lack of humanity shown by the perpetrators. For years after this tragedy, the case stood as one of many unsolved crimes that haunt both the community and the families of victims. Vanessa's family became deeply committed to ensuring her memory would not be forgotten and that the search for justice would continue. They consistently reached out to law enforcement, to the community, and to the media in hopes that someone would come forward with information that could break open the case. The idea that armed men could invade a space, tie up multiple individuals, execute a young woman, and then disappear without consequence for years highlighted the frustration and pain not only of the Malone family, but also of those who knew Vanessa personally. The lack of resolution was compounded by suspicions and speculation, as such cases often fuel rumors within communities about who might have been involved, what the true motive was, and why justice seemed so slow in arriving. The details surrounding the case further point to the challenges investigators faced. Home invasion robberies and shootings can involve multiple individuals, and when victims are left traumatized or reluctant to speak, it can make collecting accurate testimony difficult. The friends who were tied up during the incident survived, but whether they could provide information that definitively identified the attackers remained unclear for years. Additionally, when a crime has multiple actors, as this one appeared to, unraveling the web of responsibility becomes complex. Was Vanessa killed because she surprised the robbers? Or was she specifically targeted for reasons outside the robbery narrative? Was there more to the situation than an ordinary home invasion? These lingering questions continued to shadow the case. For Vanessa's family, the wait was agonizing. Each year without answers meant more time spent reliving the trauma of her loss without resolution. They organized vigils, kept her memory alive publicly, and often expressed frustration with what they felt was a lack of progress. The family increased the reward for information over time, hoping to incentivize someone to break their silence. This persistence reflects the resilience of families of homicide victims, who often must become their own advocates, pressing authorities, and reminding the public that the life lost was not just another statistic, but a beloved daughter, sister, and friend. Finally, in 2020, there was a breakthrough when law enforcement arrested a suspect named Donald Ash in connection with Vanessa's murder. The arrest was a significant development, offering at least the beginning of accountability after nearly 8 years of uncertainty. Yet even this turn of events did not bring complete clarity. From the beginning, it was evident that the case likely involved more than one person, and questions lingered about who else might have participated in the crime. An arrest, while a major step, did not necessarily resolve all of the doubts and suspicions that had built up over nearly a decade. Reports noted that the investigation was complicated, suggesting that authorities were still trying to piece together the roles of multiple people, the exact sequence of events, and the broader motive behind the crime. The involvement of Ash raised new questions. What was his connection to the crime scene? What evidence linked him to the killing after so many years? Were others going to be brought in as suspects or charged as accomplices? The passage of time can sometimes make prosecutions more difficult, as witnesses' memories fade and evidence becomes harder to validate. Yet in other cases, time allows people to come forward, secrets to leak, and investigators to build cases with new technology and fresh leads. In Vanessa's case, the arrest gave her family and community a renewed sense of hope, though it did not erase the years of pain and unanswered questions. The complexity of this case is a reminder of how violent crime can ripple far beyond the immediate act. For the survivors who were tied up and left in fear that night, trauma undoubtedly shaped their lives after the incident. For Vanessa's family, the loss of their daughter was compounded by the feeling of injustice that persisted for so long. For the community, it was a chilling reminder of the dangers young people may face and the importance of accountability in restoring trust. The fact that the crime took place within an apartment complex also highlights how violence can infiltrate seemingly ordinary spaces, turning familiar environments into sites of tragedy. Analyzing this case further, one must consider the patterns that emerge in similar situations. Young women often face heightened risks when moving through social spaces where trust is still being established, as Vanessa had gone to visit new friends that evening. The element of surprise that led her to walk into an active robbery was devastatingly unlucky, but it also revealed the sheer ruthlessness of the perpetrators, who chose to kill rather than simply flee. In many home invasion cases, violence is used as a means of control, but execution-style killing suggest either panic, a desire to eliminate witnesses, or something personal layered on top of the robbery motive. The fact that Vanessa was killed while others were spared by being locked in a bathroom raises questions about why she was singled out. Whether it was purely circumstantial or the result of a calculated decision remains a painful ambiguity. The eventual arrest of Ash illustrates both the persistence of law enforcement and the reality that justice systems often move slowly. It took nearly 8 years to make an arrest, a span of time in which Vanessa's family was forced to live without closure. This delay raises broader questions about investigative resources, priorities, and the challenges of cracking cases that do not present immediate clear suspects. Still, the fact that the case did not fade away entirely and ultimately led to charges is a testament to the determination of investigators and the unrelenting pressure from the victim's loved ones. Today, Vanessa Malone's case stands as both a tragedy and a symbol of resilience. Her family continues to honor her memory and push for full justice, not just partial answers. The arrest in 2020 was a step forward, but until the full truth comes out and all responsible parties are held accountable, the story remains incomplete. In a broader sense, Vanessa's case reflects the struggles many families face when caught between grief and the slow-moving wheels of the justice system. It illustrates how violent crime not only claims lives, but leaves scars on communities and reveals the importance of persistence, advocacy, and remembrance. In sum, the murder of 18-year-old Vanessa Malone was a horrific act that shocked her community in Stone Mountain, Georgia in 2012. What began as a simple evening visit turned into a deadly encounter with armed robbers who tied up and restrained others present, only to gun down Vanessa when she walked into the apartment. For years, her family carried the weight of unanswered questions and the pain of unresolved grief. Their persistence kept the case alive in the public eye until an arrest was finally made in 2020, with suspect Donald Ash taken into custody. Still, the complexity of the case and the possibility of multiple perpetrators meant that justice remained a process rather than an endpoint. Vanessa's story underscores the fragility of life, the cruelty of senseless violence, and the long road that families must sometimes walk in pursuit of truth and accountability. It is a reminder of how deeply crime reshapes lives, not just in the moment of tragedy but for years and even decades afterward, leaving a legacy of both sorrow and determination in the search for justice.